We got a hodgepodge of stuff here. Okay, tomorrow we're supposed to be hearing something about the Pennsylvania case that was filed by the Trump campaign, and hopefully we hear something about that. Probably going to get a 2-line dismissal, but it's going to be worth going after, so we're going to take a look at that potentially tomorrow or maybe Christmas Eve. I don't fucking know. But we got to start with this one here in Georgia. Then we're going to skip on over to Arizona because you need to clean up some shit that's going on there that I've told you guys about, that the committee board of elections, however they want to call it, voted to countersue a subpoena to look at the voting machines, and there's some weird shit finally going on there as well. And then we got to talk about the 2 Senate runoff races back here in Georgia. But before we get too deep into that, let's take a look at the general election stuff. I know it's like nearly 2 months old at this point, and nobody's really talking about it anymore, but there are some updates coming in on it. So Senator Lindsey Graham, okay, a guy who I'm not too sure how he's going to line up after this, to be completely honest. I don't know, because he's really changed a lot post Kavanaugh, and he's said to be a very close friend of President Trump now, but at the same time, he's still saying some really fucked up shit like we're going to get into in the next video when we discuss further that stimulus package, which is getting just deliciously shit on. But like I said, I don't know where Lindsey Graham's actual head is on this one. And if you talk to some people in South Carolina, it might be in young boys' laps. But anyway, Senator Lindsey Graham on Tuesday said he was briefed about Georgia's mail-in ballot signature verification. Cobb County is still undergoing this signature audit right now, and I haven't heard fucking word two about that, saying officials have the ability to conduct a signature audit as requested by President Donald Trump and other prominent Republicans. Some prominent Republicans, a lot of them are just reverting back to their old rhino roots. Mitch McConnell. I have just been briefed about the signature verification system in Georgia regarding 2020 mail-in ballots. From what I've been told, sounds like they now have a credible process and looking to do a signature audit, he wrote, without elaborating. Yeah, exactly. Okay, is that going to be for the Senate runoff? Are they going to be able to check the signatures then? Or are they going to be able to go back and take a look at, the Fulton County, DeKalb County, all of the ones that were under serious questions that would have been counted at the State Farm Arena? What are we talking about here, Linz? It's not clear if Graham, head of the Senate Judiciary Committee, was referring to a signature audit of the ballots during, the general election or the upcoming elections. It is also unclear what agency or officials have briefed Graham. Yeah, that's another thing we should probably know about, because we know who really sucks at doing their job, the Georgia GOP. And if it's the FBI or the DOJ saying, oh yeah, we're definitely looking into this, there's nothing to really worry about here, we got everything under control. Oh, look at that. That sure looks like a box of ballots underneath a table. Nothing to see here. So yeah, I'd really like this cleared up, because what do they have access to now that they didn't have before? Like a fucking magnifying glass, book of signatures, pencils, stationery. Like, what the fuck are we talking about here? Hopefully we hear about something. It'll probably be, I don't know, between Christmas and New Year's, because I think everything's just kind of slowing down now heading into Christmas. But hey, if we hear anything about this, or if it gets cleared up in the next couple of days, I'll be letting you know on that. Now we got to move over to Arizona, because Arizona GOP moves to intervene in a legal battle over Maricopa County audit. When I shit on the Georgia GOP, that does not apply to the Arizona GOP, because at least Kelly Ward, who is the head of the Arizona GOP, has been fucking working overtime in order to verify shit that is going on in Arizona, because there are a hell of a lot of patriots in Arizona, a hell of a lot of good people, and the numbers just don't add up there, and there's so much fuzzy shit going on, especially when it comes to that fucking committee voting against following subpoenas, which I don't even think you're legally supposed to do. But hey, let's take a look. The Arizona Republican Party filed a motion to intervene in the lawsuit filed by Maricopa County against state senators as the county fights against subpoenas to audit voting machines and ballots. In the 16-page motion obtained by the Epoch Times, Arizona GOP chairwoman Kelly Ward and other Republicans say they have several interests related to the legal battle, included being registered voters in the state. You know who should be a part of this but isn't? Fucking Martha McSally. I swear to God. She is the only Republican to lose their fucking seat that isn't named Donald Trump right now. In this general election, the bitch has gone fucking radio silent, and it makes me sick to my stomach that she hasn't done anything in Arizona. Disgusting. Just shows you how deep these fucking spineless roots in these people run. I hope Kelly Ward runs against Kyrsten Sinema in 24. Nothing would make me happier. Nothing would make me happier. And other Republicans say they have several, interests related to the legal battle, including being registered voters in the state. In addition, there are issues of dueling electors with the state GOP. Yes, having sent the 11 electors last week. So we got the motion right here, and I'm going to go through a couple of the different points here so you guys know what the hell they're actually filing. Each of the following interveners are registered Arizona voters and nominees of the Republican Party to be presidential electors based on the state of Arizona. We got all of their names there. Constituents, this full slate of Arizona Republican Party's nominees for presidential electors. In addition, the above named interveners. There are 3 additional interveners. They all are registered Arizona voters and Republican Party officials in Arizona. Michael John Burke, who's the chairman, the Republican chair in Pinal County, the Republican vice chair for Pima County, and the chairman for Mojave County. Given that so many of the allegations in its complaint concerns interveners, plaintiff Maricopa County cannot reasonably deny that interveners have an interest in this litigation, even if some interveners lack the standing to bring a claim that the Arizona legislature is entitled to have a subpoena enforced. There is no impediment to their entitlement to participate in this action as interveners. The interest sufficient for intervention as right can be substantially more generalized and diffuse than the concrete injury required for standing. See Perry v. Schwarzenegger. When they said I would intervene last, I lied. Rather, the interest requirement is satisfied by establishing that the interests are protectable under some law, that there is a relationship between the legally protected interest and the claim at the issue. Citizens for Balance Use v. Montana Wilderness Association, I'd imagine. They're trying to cover their ass so it doesn't get tossed out for standing. But as we know, standing is one of those things that a judge can pull out of their quiver at any time in order to not get involved in a lawsuit. As set forth, Kelly Ward is the chairwoman of the Republican Arizona Party. Greg Staffen is the executive director of the Arizona Republican Party, and certain other interveners are county chairs for the Republican Party or otherwise the leadership positions for the Republican Party, yet the interveners are elected officials, specifically current or incoming members of the Arizona House of Representatives. One of the items sought by the subpoena, which plaintiffs allege is confidential by law, is the personally identifying information for every registered voter in Maricopa County. That should be publicly available voter rolls, fair enough, including their address, dates of birth, political party affiliation, whether they voted in the November 3rd, 2020 general election, and if so, what type of ballot they cast. That would be pretty important if you're going to be doing an audit. However, such information is public record. As pertains to interveners, there is a long history for this type of information being made available to both political parties and campaigns. Exactly. Yes, because how are you supposed to do an audit if you don't have access to the information required to conduct the audit? I don't know. Maybe they think that Republicans are just psychic. So what do they want? Let me tell you. While we reserve the right to invoke any and all legal arguments, claims, or cross-claims that may bear in question and dispute, the proposed interveners are prepared to adhere to all deadlines and schedules established by the court. In sum, permitting the intervention will not impede or encumber the expeditious disposition of this matter. To the contrary, the proposed interveners' joinder will only ensure that the court's adjudication of the parties' claims and defenses is informed by the prospective interest of all interested participants. Accordingly, for the foregoing reasons, this court should find the proposed interveners are entitled to intervene as a right pursuant Arizona, yes, a certain clause. In the alternative, the court should, in its discretion, permit proposed interveners to intervene pursuant another code as well. So they just want these electors to have influence on the previous subpoena in order to enforce it. So as we sit right now, don't know what's going on in Arizona. I'm supposed to have access to all of this information, and then the board, for whatever fucking reason, they just said everything is fine, don't look here. You have no reason to look here, so why bother looking here? which is always the sign of a good and honest election anyways. So yeah, hopefully we see something going on with this, and hopefully there's a judge with enough balls to just take up this very small claim and rule on this lawsuit, because for fuck's sakes, you should be able to just look at the machines. Other counties and other states have allowed you to, so there's precedent out there. So, but then again, you could just always go standing and on to the next one. So that's the update we have on the general election. Now we're going to focus on the 2 Senate runoff that's going to occur in early January. I've been very quiet, relatively speaking, on this topic, mostly because I'm not terribly impressed with anybody who's running in that election. Not the Democrats, not really the Republicans either, because, Purdue's just another legacy vote. His brother or cousin, some blood affiliate, Sonny Purdue, is a part of the Trump campaign or Trump administration. He's the Secretary of Agriculture, and he's really done fuck all to help clean up the mess that's going on in Georgia, and he's just there to cash in his chips at the end of the day, regardless of how this ends. If the Trump administration ends in a couple of months, or in 4 months, or 4 years and a couple of months, they're just all there to make themselves rich. And Kelly Loeffler, if she wanted to get elected, all she has to do is just say, I'm going to contest the votes on January 6th when the electors meet. But the big Republican Party are so fucking stupid, okay? They think that if Trump was out of the White House, if they had a different president running, they would have every level of government, full stop. This is what they think. I think they're functionally retarded for thinking that, okay? The only reason the Republicans are relevant is not because of Romney-type Republicans. That is dead and gone. Nobody wants that type of conservative anymore, if you can call that a fucking conservative. Spineless controlled opposition is what's more likely to be referred to as. Because honestly, tell me what the difference between Mitt Romney and Chuck Schumer is, and try not to say a great head of hair. For as much shit as I give that fucking magic underpants having douche, he does have a great head of hair. But there's no difference. There's fucking very little difference. They just all go with the tide. At least on the Democrat side, they see which way their party's going and pay lip service to that. It's to the detriment of the entire country, and, well, if we extrapolate that out to the entire world. But you got the Republicans just fighting tooth and nail to hold on to shit values that fucking torpedoed their party for the better part of 2 decades. Like, you fucking installed the W in there, and everybody was sick and tired of him like 3 years into his presidency. He could have had a chance of getting rid of him if the Democrats would have ran somebody who was even remotely more inspiring than John Kerry. Like, when that dude walks into a whorehouse, you can hear the pussies drying up. He has to spray Heinz ketchup on his wife's crotch in order to get her excited. Like, this dude sucks a weather balloon full of dicks. And it was those types of policies that John McCain brought forward, that Mitt Romney brought forward. It took forever for the Republicans to get back to fucking prominence post W. And they still carry that stigma all the way through until 2016. And then Trump took over, and then everybody just started to hate on him because that was a cool thing to do. And then he had this weird resurgence that, you know what? The left starts to view W not like the Nazi that they were calling him from 2000 all the way until, 2012? It's fucking bizarre. It's so bizarre, but it's very transparent when they started to do this kind of stuff. They like the controlled opposition look of the McCain, the Romney, the W. They like that kind of non-aggressive type Republican that would just sit there and more or less just be neocons, neolibs, and just fucking world build so everybody can just make money ad nauseum. And that's how dumb the Republican Party is, that they want to return to that. They literally do. They don't get it. They don't get that their future is populism. They don't get that the only reason that people know the name Lindsey Graham, that people know the name Tom Cotton, Mitch McConnell at the same level that they would, is because Trump is there, okay? He is the real kingmaker in this. And their idiocy just goes to show you that this is the future that they're going to face in early January. Georgia poll, Ralph Warnock and Jon Ossoff lead GOP incumbents. And this is not like Nate Silver, Democrats are leading because I only poll Democrats. No, this is like, I've also been watching a couple other polling videos as well by people who actually accurately called 16 and 20. And we'll go ahead and take out those 6 or 7 states that were a little bit fucked up, but were actually accurate when it came to Ohio, Florida, and closer in those huge Democrat states like Washington and Oregon. No, they have it where Loeffler and Purdue are significantly behind how the counties that Trump was winning handily. So this is absolutely zero surprise to me whatsoever. Both Democrat Senate hopefuls, Reverend Ralph Warnock and Jon Ossoff. He looks like a Jon Ossoff, doesn't he? Just an uninspiring soy pod. A Survey USA election poll released this week found this week's survey showed Ossoff increasing his lead over Senator David Purdue for an identical survey taken 3 weeks ago, jumping from a 2-point lead to a 5-point lead, or 51% to 46%. Yeah, and I seen 51-47. Richard Barris, People's Pundit, that one. Yeah, that's the exact same stuff. It's the same thing for Loeffler and Warnock as well. And Warnock's apparently, up 7 percentage points. I'm not surprised by this whatsoever. They're just, as we've seen, what was that, a couple days ago when I showed you that they were fighting for stronger signature checks for their election, not for the general election. They're trying to distance themselves from Trump, okay? They've already thrown in the towel, if they haven't already, weeks ago at this point, and they're just going ahead and pushing forward. You know what? We need to maintain the Senate, but you don't understand that the only people who came out and voted in droves were out there voting for Trump, okay? Why do you think that there isn't such a big difference, or there wasn't, based on the amount of empty down ballots when you had all of those completely legal ballots that came in for Joe Biden that were just Joe Biden and nobody else down ticket, and everything else was on the Republican side? It was President Trump, and the Senate picks and the House picks and everything else were on there as well. That is the only reason people are coming out and voting completely Republican on the ticket, is because Trump was on the ticket. And you know what? He came down there, he gave that very good rally in Georgia, and after that, you know who's been going down there and trying to rally up the Georgia base? Mike Pence. And that was something that I said just after the vice presidential debates, when everybody was fawning over him. Oh, that's what a Trump administration would be like without Twitter. Oh, he speaks so good. He's a fucking neocon, you guys. Come on now. There is nothing that I would have hated to see. Okay, if this election was completely fine and everything was great, and let's just say hypothetically Trump would have won the same margin that everybody was predicting going into the election day, and we're thinking about 2024. The worst thing that would have happened is Mike Pence would have taken the nomination after this, and we would have went back into that cycle of HW, Clinton, W, Obama. It just would have been back on that fucking cycle that we had post-Reagan, after everything, for the most part, changed, okay? Reagan was the last big political shift in the world, and Trump was, without a doubt, a political shift. I don't think anybody can say otherwise. So yeah, they're just hitching their wagon to just dumb ideas, and that's why... I don't know. Actually, I do know. I shouldn't say that. The Republicans definitely deserve to lose these 2 races. They do. If you're down in Georgia and you're going to vote, by all means, go in, vote in person. They've already opened up wherever the Falcons play. I forget what they call the new stadium, but they've opened it up for early voting 3 weeks before the fucking election, if you can believe that. I can. They need the time to stuff the ballots anyways. But they need to show, or they need to be taught a fucking lesson. They won't listen to it, but when they start seeing Trump rally for 2024, if this doesn't shake out like it should, they're going to see that their ideas are going to fucking go up in fire, because the Democrats are just going to melt down over the next 4 years regardless. That civil war is burning just as hot as a Republican one. It's going to play out in public, and you're going to have the likes of, well, as you see fucking cue ball there on the side there, her and her entire crew are just going to accelerate the downfall, or I guess the switch into democratic socialism, because that's the right way to go if you ever want to win another election. Fucking dolts. Guess what? Those kids that rally for you guys are eventually going to grow up and realize that, man, the socialism thing is real expensive. But I'm also discounting the fact that the Great Reset is definitely 100% under the way, and you just can't really see history as it's taking place around you. So, yeah, kind of on the side of burn the motherfucker to the ground, because the 2 senators here in Georgia are just less than inspiring at all. So, I don't know, unless they change their tune between Christmas and New Year's. It'll be a funny night to watch as the old turtle man slinks back into his shell and realizes that old creepy Chuck Schumer is going to be in charge. God have mercy on all of our souls. Anyways, guys, I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.